Prestation, an in-depth look at prestation and how I use it in my game. While power over one's fellow undead may be the truest currency of the damned, boons and favors also enjoy a healthy trade. The process of trading, repaying, and incurring favors, known as prestation, is the cornerstone of the vampiric social structure. Put simply, a clever kindred grants favors, while a foolish one incurs them and becomes a servant to their promises and their debts. A vampire who calls in as yet unearned favors from other kindred too often finds their entire existence dictated by the obligations they have incurred. In exchange for whatever tokens of help they requested, they become a puppet of those who came to their aid. Kindred society is a Byzantine knot of favors owed, loyalties sworn, debts repaid, and promises broken. From the highest prince to the lowliest fledgling, the coin of the kindred realm, after blood, of course, is the boon. One kindred's promise to another is known as a boon. In some domains, boons operate like credit, in that a vampire must owe a boon for another vampire to extend them one boon. They must be seen as trustworthy. In other domains, the opposite is true. The more debts a kindred owes, the less capable of repaying those boons they are assumed to be. The one universal truth among all domains, however, is that a boon is a boon, and there's no way to get out of it other than to satisfy it or to have it excused by its holder. If the holder of a boon is killed by kindred, the debt is transferred to the holder's sire or holder's eldest child. It is an honor thing. If the holder of a debt is killed by hunters or other supernatural circumstances, it is possible for the sire to take the debt on as a show of honor. Kindred use several different ways to keep track of boons in different domains. In some, a specially appointed harpy keeps careful books of who owes who. In others, each major figure has their own currency representing boons, such as rare coins, signed slips, lengths of thread, and so on, that they hand out. In a third, there is only the honor system. The more powerful the grantor of a boon, the more powerful the boon. There are 4 types of boons that are used. The first is the trivial boon, the easiest boons to both acquire and to satisfy. A trivial boon generally involves no risk or significant cost for the grantor. A kindred might earn or promise a trivial boon for aid in finding blood, for getting an invitation to an exclusive soiree or entree to a hot nightclub, or for making space in a haven. In most domains, coterie members perform trivial boons for each other without recording them, although a vampire who doesn't carry their share of the favor load might get accidentally locked out some morning. Minor boons require one of the kindred going out of their way to perform or pay off. They have a small but lasting cost, or involve some risk, physical, social, or other. A kindred might promise or demand a minor boon for casting a vote in favor of another during a convocation of elders, killing an inconvenient but not very important human, granting access to a book of lore or an ancient diary, or providing a vessel or sanctuary in a desperate hour. A major boon can alter the flow of kindred affairs in a domain, directly or indirectly. They always involve real risk or real expense, and both parties usually intend to recoup. Examples of major boons include investiture as the filius major of the Cainite heresy in a city, grants of rich hunting grounds, revealing a major secret, leveraging significant resources toward someone else's agenda, or reversing one's expected vote in council. This is the rarest and most valuable of the boons observed by the damned, and perhaps ironically, the one most often promised at a moment's notice, when the next moment might bring final death. One might earn a life boon by killing another powerful vampire, but most life boons come under duress. Kindred have sworn life boons in exchange not just for their own unlives, but for protection for touchstones, offering an alibi in a case of princely justice, or just for keeping some hideous secret. While a given domain may have rigorous conventions in place for recording and observing who has sworn boons to whom, the completion of a boon is comparatively simple. Once the kindred who holds the boon declares it satisfied, that's it. It's done. Basic mechanics are fairly simple, straight from the book. Calling in a boon mostly affects social tests. A trivial boon is worth 1 or 2 dice on the roll. A character might offer a boon to the target, payable on a win on the roll. Alternately, the target may already owe the character the boon. The character reminding the target of the debt causes the die modifier. In this case, a win for the character fulfills the boon debt. A minor boon held by a character should ideally equal an automatic win on a social test against the debtor. Going the other direction, a social test may instead resolve the question, does the target require a minor boon in exchange for this favor? If the character wins the role, the target doesn't demand a boon. If they lose, they still get what they want, but at the cost of a minor boon. Major boons and life boons are game developments larger than single tests encompass. Major boons can risk the equivalent of 2 or 3 dot backgrounds or more. Player characters should promise them only in extremis and use them for domain and chronicle-changing efforts. How prestation and boons are used in my game. I have a love for objects in my game as well as the ability to watch a movie and ask myself, how can I incorporate that into my game? So, after watching the John Wick series, I now use coins to show boons owed to my players. When a storyteller player character approaches a player asking for their aid, they offer a boon for their services. So if they offer a minor boon for a job, they wish them to do they give the player character a silver coin once that job is complete. Once the coin is given, they report the debt owed to the chancellor who records it. When the player wants the storyteller player character to repay that debt, they tell them what they want done. Once it is completed, the player character hands them their silver coin back, and both parties go to see the chancellor and report the boon has been completed. The coins I use I found on Amazon. I use a silver coin for minor boons, a gold coin for major boon, and a death head coin for life boon. The mechanics for debt repayment are simple. All debts are paid in full when both parties agree that the debt has been paid in full. If there is a dispute in this, the chancellor makes the call. The chancellor is the law on debts in the city. They record the debt when made and hand out the coin. They track the debt from beginning to end. If their debt is handed off from one to another, the chancellor has it noted. When the debt is paid, they strike the boon off the ledger as paid in full. The responsibility of the chancellor is great. Because of this, they are bound by oath that their job comes before all others in the city, which means even the prince cannot ask to see the ledger. It is possible that an archon could ask questions about it, but the only person that could just lift the ledger and read from it without argument would be a justicar. Finally, because of their duties, the chancellor has final say on all disputes concerning a debt. If one kindred claim a debt is paid and the other claims it has not, the chancellor listens to both sides and decides if it is or isn't repaid. That decision is final. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new that you are able to use in your own game.